The Syrian civil war has been a long and bloody conflict. It has reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. In December 2024, a pivotal moment occurred, the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime. This event marked a turning point in the war. It also signaled a potential end to decades of authoritarian rule. This essay will explore the events leading to this dramatic moment and analyze the factors that contributed to Assad's downfall. The roots of the Syrian civil war can be traced back to the Arab Spring of 2011. Inspired by uprisings in Tunisia and Egypt, Syrian citizens took to the streets. They demanded political reforms and an end to corruption. The Assad regime responded with brutal force. Peaceful protests were met with violence and oppression. This ignited an armed rebellion. What began as a call for change quickly escalated into a full-blown civil war. The Syrian civil war is characterized by a complex web of actors. The Syrian government, led by Bashar al-Assad, has been supported by foreign powers like Russia and Iran. On the other side, a fragmented opposition emerged. This included groups like the Free Syrian Army and various Islamist factions. The involvement of foreign actors, each with their own agendas, further fueled the conflict. This transformed Syria into a battleground for proxy wars. The Syrian civil war has been marked by several turning points. Early rebel gains were countered by the intervention of Russia and Iran in support of Assad. The rise of ISIS in 2014 added another layer of complexity. This extremist group seized large swathes of territory. A US-led coalition intervened to combat ISIS. This further internationalized the conflict. Turkey, with its own interests in the region, also launched military incursions. This shifting landscape of alliances and enmities created a volatile and unpredictable environment. Section 5. A Resurgence of Hope. Despite years of devastating conflict, the year 2024 witnessed a resurgence of hope for the Syrian opposition. The war had left cities in ruins and countless lives shattered, but amidst the rubble, a new spirit of determination began to emerge. Civilians who had endured unimaginable hardships started to see a glimmer of hope as rebel forces regrouped and strategized for a renewed offensive. A major rebel offensive, spearheaded by groups like Tahrir al-Sham and the Syrian National Army, gained momentum in the northwest. These groups, despite their differences, united under a common goal: to liberate their homeland from the oppressive regime. Their coordinated efforts led to significant territorial gains, boosting the morale of fighters and civilians alike. They were able to capture strategically important cities like Aleppo, a city that had seen some of the fiercest battles of the war. The liberation of Aleppo was a turning point, symbolizing the resilience and strength of the opposition forces. Celebrations erupted in the streets as people rejoiced in their newfound freedom. Hama and Homs. These victories were not just military successes, they were beacons of hope for a nation yearning for peace and stability. The capture of these cities disrupted the regime's supply lines and weakened its hold on the region. This momentum emboldened other rebel groups in the south, who launched their own offensives. Inspired by the successes in the north, these groups coordinated their attacks, further stretching the regime's resources and capabilities. The southern front became a new battleground, with fierce clashes and significant advances by the opposition. The Syrian Free Army and the Syrian Democratic Forces joined the fight, further weakening Assad's grip on power. Their involvement brought additional manpower and resources, creating a formidable coalition that the regime struggled to counter. The unity among these diverse groups was a testament to their shared vision of a free and democratic Syria. By December 2024, the momentum had shifted decisively. The opposition forces had not only gained significant territory, but had also won the hearts and minds of many Syrians. The regime's control was rapidly diminishing, and the prospect of a new era seemed within reach. Rebel forces, now united in their objective, advanced on Damascus. The capital, long a symbol of the regime's power, was now within their grasp. The advance on Damascus was meticulously planned, with rebel leaders coordinating their efforts to ensure a swift and decisive victory. The fall of the capital marked the collapse of the Assad regime. The once unassailable stronghold of the regime crumbled under the relentless pressure of the opposition forces. The streets of Damascus, once filled with fear, now echoed with the sounds of liberation. Bashar al-Assad's fate remains unknown. In the chaos that ensued, the whereabouts of the regime's leader became a mystery. Speculations ran rampant, with some believing he had gone into hiding, while others suggested he had fled the country. He is believed to have fled the country. The presidential palace, once a symbol of his authority, now stood abandoned, a stark reminder of the regime's downfall. The future of Syria, though uncertain, was now in the hands of its people, who dared to hope for a brighter tomorrow. Section 6. A nation in ruins. The Syrian civil war has left an indelible scar on the country. The conflict has resulted in an estimated 470,000 to 610,000 deaths. It has displaced millions more, both internally and externally. Syria faces a humanitarian crisis of catastrophic proportions. The war has decimated infrastructure, crippled the economy, and created a generation scarred by violence and displacement. The international community faces an immense challenge in rebuilding the nation and providing aid to its people. Section 7. The Assad Dynasty, Decades of Iron Rule. To understand the fall of Bashar al-Assad, it is essential to understand the history of his family's rule. The Assad dynasty, belonging to the Alawite sect, has ruled Syria with an iron fist for over 5 decades. Hafez al-Assad, Bashar's father, came to power in a coup in 1970. He established a repressive regime that ruthlessly suppressed dissent. Bashar inherited this authoritarian system upon his father's death in 2000. Section 8. Seeds of Discontent, Socioeconomic Inequality. While Bashar al-Assad initially promised reforms, he ultimately continued his father's policies of repression and control. This fueled resentment among the population. Socioeconomic inequality, corruption, and lack of political freedoms created a fertile ground for unrest. The Assad regime's brutality in responding to the 2011 protests only exacerbated these grievances, pushing the country towards the abyss of civil war. Section 9. The Great Game, Geopolitics and Pipelines. The Syrian civil war cannot be fully understood without considering the role of geopolitics. The conflict, which began in 2011, has drawn in numerous international actors, each with their own strategic interests. From regional powers like Iran and Saudi Arabia to global giants like the United States and Russia, the Syrian battlefield has become a microcosm of larger geopolitical struggles. Syria's strategic location in the Middle East has made it a focal point for regional rivalries and global power struggles. Its proximity to key energy resources and its position as a potential transit route for pipelines make it a highly coveted piece of real estate in the geopolitical chess game. The country's alliances and enmities have shifted over the years, influenced by the changing dynamics of regional and global politics. The conflict has been further complicated by the issue of natural gas pipelines. These pipelines are not just about transporting energy, they represent economic lifelines and strategic leverage for the countries involved. The proposed routes for these pipelines have the potential to alter the balance of power in the region, making them a contentious issue among competing nations. Competing proposals for pipelines traversing Syria, backed by different international actors, have added another layer of complexity to the conflict. On one side, you have proposals supported by Western countries and their allies, aiming to reduce Europe's dependence on Russian gas. On the other side, there are routes backed by Russia and Iran, seeking to maintain their influence over energy supplies to Europe and beyond. These pipeline projects, often framed in terms of energy security and economic development, have become entangled with the geopolitical interests of regional and global powers. The stakes are incredibly high, as control over these energy routes can translate into significant economic and political power. This has led to a situation where the battle for Syria is not just about territorial control, but also about who will shape the future energy landscape of the Middle East. This has fueled the conflict, turning Syria into a battleground for competing visions of the Middle East's energy future. The war has devastated the country, causing immense human suffering, but it has also become a proxy battleground for larger geopolitical ambitions. Understanding the role of pipelines in this conflict is crucial for grasping the broader implications of the Syrian civil war and the intricate web of interests that continue to drive it. Section 10. A Future Unwritten. The fall of Bashar al-ASSAD marks the end of an era in Syria. His regime, which held power for decades, has left a deep and lasting impact on the nation. The collapse of his government signifies not just a political shift, but a profound transformation in the lives of millions of Syrians. However, the country's future remains uncertain. The streets, once bustling with life, now stand empty and silent, a stark reminder of the conflict that has ravaged the land. The people of Syria, carrying the weight of their past, look towards an uncertain future with a mix of hope and trepidation. The challenges of rebuilding a nation shattered by years of war are immense. Entire cities lie in ruins, and the infrastructure that once supported daily life is now a distant memory. The task of reconstruction is not just about bricks and mortar, but about healing the deep wounds inflicted on the Syrian society. The international community faces the daunting task of fostering reconciliation, providing humanitarian assistance, and ensuring that aid reaches those who need it most. Diplomatic efforts are underway to bring together various factions and create a dialogue that can lead to lasting peace. Supporting the creation of a stable and inclusive political system is crucial. The voices of all Syrians, regardless of their background, must be heard and respected. Political rallies and discussions are a sign of the burgeoning hope for a democratic and inclusive future. The road ahead will be long and arduous, filled with numerous obstacles and challenges. Yet, the determination of the Syrian people to rebuild their lives and their country is unwavering. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a testament to their resilience and strength. But the fall of the Assad regime offers a glimmer of hope for a better future for the Syrian people. Children playing in the streets and families smiling in front of their rebuilt homes symbolize the potential for a new beginning. The journey to recovery is long, but the spirit of the Syrian people shines brightly, lighting the way towards a future filled with promise and possibility.